Welcome, trainers, to the PokeSphere. We're your destination for in-depth Pokemon news, community discussions, and editorial content. We're passionate about this franchise, and we're here to share our insights and connect with fellow fans. Let's talk gaming. So, as all of you know, we've been pretty vocal about the going on of recent events in gaming, which could potentially affect Pokemon. And so we decided to revisit some of these old topics given recent events, and we've brought in Unseely King once again to join us. Welcome, Unseely.
What is up, sir? Love being here. Always a good time.
So we've been monitoring the situation that has been unfolding over the course of the last several weeks. Well, not situation, but situations, in fact. So, first off, just to get this one up and out of the way, the Stop Killing Games movement, which a month ago looked like it was going to fail, succeeded in meeting its numbers so that it would be brought up in the UK government for discussion. Not only was the initiative a success, it has actually attracted attention of some of the officials that they were hoping to bring this issue to. They have even signed the petitions themselves backing the initiative. I also do believe that Poland has fully backed the initiative as a country because they see the issues that had been coming up with our games being effectively removed from people's ownerships, games that have been paid for or with money. I know it doesn't really affect us here yet, but what are your thoughts on the whole Stop Killing Games movement succeeding the way it did?
I was definitely a little bit surprised. I was all for it for sure. It's just that just like this little part of me was like, I don't know if gonna make it out of there, like, is there really gonna be enough stuff? So I was just really surprised and glad.
I'm very happy, very, very happy that it was able to get enough support that it needed to. I think that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. Everybody talks about how big gaming communities are, but nobody ever recognizes how big they are until we all get together for something like this. And I think that this situation has proven to lawmakers and, other individuals that may be opposing, the Stop Killing Game movements that, oh, wait a minute, there are a lot of people in this category that could actually cause a lot of damage for the infrastructure that essentially we are creating. So I think it's a very good show of support and a very good, for lack of a better term, show of force in the actual community.
And that actually leads me right into the next part of this discussion, and the meat and potatoes of this episode. And it's about what's been happening with Steam, with itch.io, with Japan as a whole, where payment processors have been attempting to censor legal content on different platforms. And in an earlier episode that we did about a year ago, we discussed the censorship issues that have been happening, the closure of Manga Library Z, and how this could impact the West if it was left unchecked. And sure enough, recently Steam and itch.io were forced to remove certain types of games off of their platforms because payment processors decided that they did not want anything that would damage their brand associated with anything that they do business with, which ended up making Steam provide a new rule that did not exist until this point in time, where it was basically capitulating to the payment processors because, let's face it, if you can't make money, then you can't stay in business. And so when this happened, the target was for very specific types of games. Some people may find them unsavory, some people may enjoy them. That isn't the point. The point is that legal material was effectively censored out due to these payment processors. And so gamers as a whole now realized the implications of this. And it was a group in Australia that has ties to politics in Australia that strong-armed these payment processors, apparently. There's still some details that are murky at this point in time, but gamers came out in force. There have been other content creators who have been spearheading this, who have been fighting the good fight, who have been bringing attention to this on a regular basis. So I would be remiss if I didn't thank them, because this is where I've been getting my starting point of information. First and foremost, Madam Savvy, who has been an absolute legend. She has been on the forefront, and she has been just letting people know, hey, check this out. Hey, look at this. Hey, this is what's going on. And she has not taken her foot off the gas pedal. There have been content creators like Hypnotic and Chibi Reviews, who I've been following, and they have been absolutely amazing in covering these, not only this issue, but also laws that have been put into play in the UK, laws that are in play now in the US, and making people aware that things are happening and you absolutely need to be paying attention. I've also been following on Twitter a Japanese politician by the name of, and I'm going to butcher this name and I apologize, Zenko Kurishi. They have been tweeting left and right about censorship and the position that they've been taking, pushing back on these payment processors, as well as Yamada Taro, who has been also fighting the good fight since the very beginning. And I mean, things have really just exploded in the last 2 weeks about this issue. Somebody in the White House must be paying attention, because a few days ago, the current sitting president has signed an executive order called Guaranteeing Fair Banking for All Americans. And it's to effectively give the executive branch of our government the green light to put pressure on payment processors who are utilizing tactics like the ones that we're seeing, and putting the pressure on them to actually stop doing this kind of practice. That everything has to be apolitical and neutral if they're going to attempt to do this type of what's known as debanking.
You're seeing a lot of movements in the correct direction, which is good, which is very, very good. My only issue is that one thing about executive orders is that they technically can be ignored. It's a very weird gray area legally, and I think I want to see where that push goes, if that makes sense. Because as of right now, an executive order is huge for this fight. It is marking it as at least for us in the United States, it is pretty much the government saying, hey, we're keeping a notice on this and we don't like what you're doing. There are a lot of people, and realistically it comes down to voters, like let's be honest, but it's a way of going, there's a lot of potential voters that aren't happy right now. If you're making voters unhappy, you're making us unhappy, as it should be. But my worry is that in a lot of cases like this, people get complacent, and in the US, we are unfortunately known for that. And I don't want us to get complacent because we got that one good thing. And that's, like I said, that's my only worry, but I do think we are moving in the correct direction. As far as like MasterCard, Visa, is it just MasterCard and Visa, or is it also like American Express, and is it like everyone?
The moment it's several different payment processors. I do believe that MasterCard and Visa have been directly named, as well as PayPal has been caught in the past doing similar practices. I'm not entirely sure about American Express or Discover, but I know there's a couple of other platforms that have also been kind of wrapped up in this. So I'm not entirely sure how many companies, but apparently Visa and MasterCard hold a very large percentage of the transactions that actually happen. So that's why those two are mainly targeted.
The other reason that that's not surprising is if you look at anybody that has a debit card, if you pull it out and you flip over to the back, I will say 90% of you listening, who live in the United States, the back of your debit card will say either Visa or MasterCard. It's not just credit cards. Those are the two, I would say, largest banking institutions. I'd say, in the world? I could be wrong, Draco, but I think that seems correct.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
Definitely the most world-friendly.
Well, and the issue with it is if it's in your debit card, you don't get to choose who who runs the back end of that like purchasing. Yeah, your money's in your bank, and yeah, your bank can approve or deny stuff, but that's essentially the middleman. Like they don't have any connection to your money. They are literally just the people supplying the connection between you and your bank to be able to purchase something. So there is no reason why they should have the right to do that. But again, like I stated earlier, the problem is you don't get to choose that middleman. That's chosen for you by whatever bank you choose to, bank at. So it turns into a question of, could this turn into a law on the books where you have the right to say, choose that middleman? Like, can I choose between Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Chase Bank, or, is that the solution to this? And then it turns into now people aren't using, these specific entities because they are using these tactics to ensure that things aren't getting out. The other thing is if they're ripping games away from, like, say, libraries, and you no longer now have access to the game, the company is eating that cost. The developers are eating that cost. So for me, my goal would be to have MasterCard and Visa eat that cost. Like, you are the reason I got this taken away. You're the reason I am unable to purchase this or have this in my library. You pay me that money back. I don't want it from the developer. I don't want it from Steam. I paid to support them. I paid knowing full well what I was getting. You decided that I shouldn't have access to this, to this media. If it grows any larger, I definitely think those two things would be something that would be it's a push that would send a message to, Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, because the minute you give the choice for people to, pick who that, and like I said, lack for better terms and lack for, knowing like the knowledge of, how the banking system truly works. But like us being able to pick that middleman would change everything, because the amount of gamers that would call in and be like, yo, I don't want my debit card being run through MasterCard. I don't want my debit card being run through Visa. What other options do I have? Well, now they're losing customers, because if you have enough people within the banking system going, hey, I don't want this. Well, now the bank has to go to them and go, hey, less than 5% of our customers want to use you. There's no reason for us to even have you as a provider. And being in sales myself, I've seen it happen. It's based on a percentage on whether or not like a company's going to be using, a certain, client or use a certain provider. If that percentage is costing them more than it's making them, well, guess what? You're gone. And I think that would be very interesting to see how that would, I guess, turn out if that push happened.
It really does suck though, because I'm still on the side that I don't think Visa and MasterCard are going to like be on that end of like doing this stuff, because like I do agree with the whole like they're going to be losing out on money. There's no way that there's stuff. Like, that's my mindset right now. So I'm really hoping it doesn't go through, and that does suck too, because if they buy what I want to buy, man, and you're gonna take stuff away from me, can I get like reimbursed somehow? And someone gotta reimburse me, and it's gotta be like the people who's like at fault, or something. Like it make no dang sense to stop me from buying my games. Cause like what I think I read an article earlier. Like some people were like, oh, I hope they take the fight with like GTA or something, cause I think they have like enough money to fight back on that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh man, that made me laugh. Like hearing what Unseely said too about like your like Visa, MasterCard, or your debit card or credit card is like being the middleman. That is pretty true. And like I don't want to be stopped make my purchases. Like I feel like I'll be swiping my card and then oh my god, who's that voice actor? Patrick Warburton, I think. And he's like, are you sure you won't do that? Okay, I don't think you can make this order. I'm just imagining like the Kronk voice like telling me like stuff like that while I'm trying to swipe my card to purchase a game or something. But then they're like, no. I just don't see like where it's like where this is gonna go. Like I said, I'm very hopeful like it doesn't fall through, because it's kind of ridiculous. Like, stop taking things away from us, you're gonna take away our physical copy games or something, and then now you're gonna do this to us. You can't hit us there, but you're gonna hit us like somewhere else. Like that sucks. That really sucks.
Guren actually just triggered something in my brain. So if this were to succeed in any sense of the way, and, the banking institutions are allowed to, essentially censor what you're buying, right? Who's to stop other institutions from making those same demands and just forking over a ton of money to, have this happen. Like, one of the biggest institutions in the world, I don't like to get political and I don't like to get religious, but one of the biggest institutions in the world is the Catholic Church. And in 1998, you know who really didn't like, say, Pokemon? Because, Jigglypuff was the devil.
To be fair on that one, those were very extreme. There was actually only one real guy responsible for that as a whole. Because I went to, at the time Pokemon was coming out, I was in school. I was in religious school, and nobody talked about it. Nobody cared about it. And I went to a Catholic school, and it was only one guy that really had an issue with it.
But it only takes that one guy to get a following, and then for the Catholic Church to be like, oh, our people don't like this, or the Five Nights at Freddy's games.
I'm gonna actually take this a step further. I'm gonna take it a step further. You're on the right track. But let me take this a step further for you. All right, just to clarify, this was a group of people, and it was a small number, but they had political backing because one of their head people of this group is also on the Australian government board. I don't know exactly where she sits, but I do believe she is in the Australian board, in the actual government, and a pretty high up too. But what is to say that because they were able to force this issue with payment processors over certain types of content games, who's to say that an institute like PETA, who has been trying to stop Pokemon for decades now, not pull the same tactic to apply the same pressure to Nintendo? And if you think it can't happen, again, nobody thought Steam would ever be forced to take down games. And yet, here we are with Steam being forced to take down games. Nintendo might have the largest franchise on the planet, but if you can't make money to pay your people, to pay for the bills, or to pay your lawyers, it's gonna be really difficult to fight back against it. And that is the quote-unquote slippery slope that we've been trying to point out as a channel, but also, as a community of anybody who's been keeping track of this. It starts with one thing, but who sets the line? And that line is going to move. Today, it's adult content video games. This same group tried to go after Grand Theft Auto and Detroit Become Human. They attempted to tag those two games and failed. And those are just M-rated. They went for a lower hanging fruit and succeeded, and now they're pushing even harder. Horror games have been removed as well. So much so that those horror game creators just went, if I can't sell my game, here it is for free.
That's actually wild to me.
Yeah. Final Girl Games is the name of the company that made this game. Now, I don't know what this game is about. And so she just took it and went, screw it, boom, take my game for free. If I can't sell it, at least people can enjoy it. And a lot of other creators are starting to follow suit in protest of this. That line has already moved at least twice since the inception.
I mean, it's only going to keep moving when you think about it. Like, let's be real. Like, it's the whole you give a mouse a cookie thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to keep wanting more and more. And all people have done is successfully given this group the ability to be like, we couldn't go after these games. Like, we couldn't go after these big AAA studios before, but now we're just going to inch closer and closer and closer and closer until, oh, hey, guess what? We're here.
And the thing is that unless we start pushing back, this could inevitably slam right into Pokemon and other similar gaming franchises, as benign as they are.
That's one of the things that I am very worried about is anybody can find anything offensive. And if that's the line that you're drawing, well, if this is going to offend somebody, then we can't have it on our platform. Then you can't have anything on your platform. There's nothing. Like, at that point, there's nothing. Because all it's going to take is somebody looking, going, well, I find that offensive. Oh, well, it's got to go.
Exactly.
It'll be very interesting to see how it, pans out.
How dare I can only blame a certain group down under that may have started this whole debacle.
Oh, no, not again. it starts with video games, but when does it branch over to, books, music, other media? And I think that's the thing that
Not
people
mine.
aren't realizing.
I swear that not mine. I mean, I'm them fighting hurts. I'm fighting.
Hold on. They've already been pushing on manga and anime. This is how it all started, was in manga and anime. The problem was they were targeting Japan directly, and they were trying to force censorship directly. That was what we were discussing last year. And now, all of a sudden, they're back. But this time they came for video games.
Yeah, because they're going after the low-hanging fruit. They're going after the thing that's... Because let's face it, video games has always been a topic of derision among a lot of groups. And so it's not just like it's not like just religious groups or other groups like that you're gonna get groups that firmly believe that video game, there are certain groups of parents that believe video games should not exist. There are certain schooling groups that believe the same. Now granted, there are groups opposite of those people that are looking and going, no, they serve a practical use in our society, you're just not seeing that. In a way, it's like a media civil war, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, unfortunately, it's going to take somebody that can match the finances and sway of the people that are doing this to actually stand up. Yes, as a community, we are very good at standing up for ourselves, but if there's not somebody that can actually get the word out in a, more global way, then it's a very uphill battle, I'll say.
I remember the times where there's that whole thing going on for oh, these video games are too violent for our kids. And I'm like, did you check the rating on the video game? Did you make sure that your child is old enough to play this game?
We've had how many now I'm 37 years old. I'm older on the gaming side. I know that. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. But my thing is over the 27 years I've been playing video games, this conversation has come up, I can't even count the amount of times. And the logical answer has always been and will always be, as a parent, are you paying attention to what you're buying your kid, or are you just sticking them in front of a TV and getting them the newest game because that's what they said they want and they're quiet? As a parent, if you bought a game for your child and you don't approve of it, the onus should be on you. You made that choice. You purchased that game. They couldn't have gotten it without your say-so. Why are you now then complaining to the game creator saying that they sold you something or made something that's not appropriate for your child, when you as a parent decide what's appropriate for your child?
That, I think, is a great lead-in, because I would be remiss if I didn't point out the fact that this fight is so old. It goes back to our youth, me and Unseely specifically, because it was when Mortal Kombat originally dropped, where the legend himself, Dee Snider, lead singer of Twisted Sister, had to go in front of Congress, and it wasn't just one side, it was both sides that were railing against, that were attempting to push censorship against everybody and everything that was out there. And he had been leading the charge then, as he's leading the charge now in his own way against this. And he has been an absolute inspiration, as far as I can tell, as to why so many gamers have risen up, because we've gone through this once before. We've seen what happens. And if we don't put our foot down, this is going to just get worse.
I think that's the biggest thing, is for the ones that are old enough that have seen this happen before, it is turning into at what point do we actually get to look and go, we won this fight already? What do we need to do to cement that? And I think the way they're getting away with it, and I could be wrong, Draco, you've done probably a lot more on the legal side than I have, at least looking into this, is they're going after technically a new product. Essentially, they're going after something new, which allows them to just start this back up again, but then opens the door to get access to all the old stuff that they wanted to do. What I'm more worried about is, okay, so they start taking games down, and we know that that's been happening. We know that people are getting their games taken away, what have you. But then what happens, oh, well, you made music for this game. We're no longer allowing, people to purchase your music because you made music for this one title and this one title is banned. And now that you're associated with it, you're, banned. And the same goes for art directors or art, you know what I mean? Like the moving pieces to a video game supersede like the players, the developers. There's so many moving parts to, artists, musicians, writers. And where does it end or where does it begin where they start looking at, writers, artists, and, musicians saying, well, you worked on that title and you're now on, this list of, people that we can't support because you'll give us a bad image. Okay, so they worked on this title, but then they could have worked on, some children's game that is rated E for everyone. They're a musician, they're contracted for music. That's where my concern becomes in, because now it's a blanket banning of this person's work, and then it turns into well, we couldn't get you on because, of that, but because we stopped payment on this game, which stopped payment for, this writer, they wrote on that game and that show, we got that taken off the air.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. It really wouldn't.
It wouldn't be, but I think the thing about gamers is that it's like that Jurassic Park quote, life always finds a way. Gamers are very much like that, where it's gamers will always find a way. You can take something down, you can, stop allowing it to sell. Somebody's going to preserve that and somebody's going to get it out to people. And it's just a matter of, do we need to come to that point again? Or are we going to actually be heard? And I think that's the question that really should be asked, and what individual people are willing to do about it.
So yeah, I mean, I know we've discussed this a lot. We've been bringing it up. I know I've been pulling into social media just the issues that I've been seeing and I've been having. But I definitely want to hear from you all who are listening. What are your thoughts on the situation? What would you like to see as a resolution? Mind you, that when you talk about censoring something, that line will always move, because you don't have one person determining what is considered distasteful or offensive. It's always going to change, and therefore that line will always move. So unfortunately, to live in a society where we can speak our minds and create wonderful things, we have to take the good with the bad. I'd like to hear from all of you what your thoughts are on the situation, and also be sure to share, like, subscribe, follow us on X. We're also on Blue Sky. We do have a Discord, and we're also on Rumble, or if you're watching on Rumble, we're also on YouTube.
And don't forget to buy your games physically, or buy them physical games and pay with cash.
But not the game key cards. And as always,
we'll see you in the next
video.
video.